Are you able to talk about the new product you're working on mindset yet, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But basically, what we have done, we were interested in brain health in athletes, and obviously that has been something quite big in the news, and obviously it's important for the athletes participating, but it's equally as important for the parents, basically making a decision should they let their boy or girl participate in certain kind of sports, and what sports are at a higher risk, and really what is the long-term risk that you're having with participating in sports. So we were actually interested in seeing what can we do more on a prevention than rather basically once the incident has happened, how can we basically help them to recover. So we did a study where we looked at specific formulation of omega-3 fatty acids, and we followed two American college football teams through a full season, and basically looked at the incidence of brain damage, and we used a blood marker for that. And basically, if you are in contact sports and you get hit, then basically you create damage to your brain cells, and there's a certain protein that is released into the blood, and that's something we can measure. So what we found in our study basically is that, yes, if you're an American college football player, you will actually suffer brain damage. We can actually see that as early as after the first 2 weeks of contact drills that they have. And we obviously can see it through the whole season. We can actually see that the position that you play, if you're playing a quarterback or a linebacker or a wide receiver, you all get hit enough that we can pick up brain damage in those players.
So even through that helmet?
Even through the helmet. The thing with helmets, obviously, people sometimes believe that because they're wearing a helmet, they can actually hit harder and be less careful. It's the helmet quite sure protects a lot. But same with basically if you're having an airbag and you run with your car at 200 kilometers against the wall, yeah, the airbag helps, but you're still going to suffer some damage from doing that. And basically the study that we did, we looked at two different formulations. One was a high bioavailable form of omega-3 fatty acids. The other one actually had additional ingredients in there that we thought would be helpful. We combined it with the curcumin, combine it with alpha-GPC, which helps you with acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter, and also with pycnogenol, an ingredient that helps with blood flow to the brain. So basically we had one highly bioavailable form of omega-3s, very specific omega-3s that we thought would be beneficial. Actually not just DHA, but a combination of three different ones of DHA, EPA, and DPA. And the other formula. And the outcome of the study actually is, as I mentioned earlier, yes, if you play in the control group, you see brain damage. If you're using the omega-3 fatty acids, you can actually almost completely prevent the damage that occurs during the first 2 weeks. So the first contact drills where you already see significant damage in the other players. During the season, you still see damage, but you actually reduce it on average around 30%. So basically, you can use very effectively nutrition to reduce the total amount of brain damage that you see in college football players.
Wow, I wish I had that when I was earlier. I was very bad on my brain. But how does it work? What's the theory behind? How does the omega-3s protect your brain cell?
There are a couple theories behind that. I think the two major ones is that basically if you're looking at omega-3s and you enrich omega-3s in your brain, you basically, your brain is more fluid. And if you then basically put a shock to a system that actually has more cushion to it, you absorb that shock better. And the second major thing actually, specifically EPA, has been known to be anti-inflammatory, meaning it helps you to actually manage inflammation. Therefore, actually, it helps you under those conditions.
I see. And how were you able to measure you said there's a protein that's released when you suffer damage to the brain, and how did you actually measure that?
Through blood draws. So basically, we took blood draws on a regular basis throughout the season, allowing us to monitor the progression of brain damage.
Okay, and you're seeing an increase in those damage markers immediately after practice or game situations, or?
Yeah, but basically we started the study at a baseline level, and then in the US college, basically they start contact drills, which is a 2-week period. And that's the second time we took blood samples. So it's not even, they haven't even played a game yet. It's just training. And after those 2 weeks, we could already significantly see the increase in that marker of brain damage in those players.
Wow. that would be a breakthrough in, nutrition and prevention as well.
Absolutely. I think anything we can do to obviously reduce the negative impact of contact sports is something that hopefully will make a difference in the long run when it comes to brain health at a later stage.
I think we were discussing possibly last year, we were discussing this product, and you were you were telling me about some research on just soccer players having some brain damage from hitting balls. So it seems like it's not a very traumatic hit or hit on the head that creates a brain damage. Is it our brains are that fragile?
They kind of are. And actually with soccer players, it takes 10 headers for us to be able to actually pick up first signs of brain damage. Obviously that is significant. And the other thing we have to keep in mind is in the past we talk a lot about concussions. And our data basically shows that you don't have to be concussed to have brain damage. And that obviously is a whole big area of additional problems that we have, because if you're concussed, I can identify that, I can measure that, I can basically have a player rest. The other brain damage occurs without being concussed. And we just have to be aware that that's actually a part of playing sports.
I see. I saw a while back there was a lot of kickboxers and boxers that were complaining about the brain damage they've suffered throughout their career. And some of I think the UFC fighters, the MMA guys, were also trying to get something going in terms of insurance or a pension plan or something like this. But a researcher or someone like that was saying that apparently the buildup damage of, say, boxing is in the long run it's more dangerous than like a quick knockout through MMA. Is that what you're seeing, or is it kind of like a buildup, a chronic traumatic impact on the head, or is that more damaging than a knockout blow?
It's too early to really conclude that, but basically the science right now indicates that what's called subconcussive brain damage, meaning you're not concussed, you're not getting a concussion, that actually accumulates over time and is even more dangerous than actually having an actual concussion. So the data kind of goes in that direction exactly as you described it right now. The other thing you have to be aware of, that even if you use supplementation, you will not prevent a concussion. If you get concussed from a heavy impact, there's no nutrition that will actually help you to prevent that from happening. But what we can actually help with is reducing those small traumatic incidents that happen over and over and over again through a season, and try to reduce that damage.
I see.